Cue the music. We are here. We are here. And this will be my very first lesson VOD where I will be like, this is what you did wrong. You better smarten up, fix that mistake, and get back on the road and keep on running. Running, because driving is for people who are lazy, I guess. Never mind about that. So this would be my very first, and before I even begin any of this, oh my goodness, I have to say, Zeke 3, I did a lesson VOD. Yours was supposed to be the first. Now here's what I was gonna do. I was like, I had a shower, right? And I was like, hey, I have an idea. I'm gonna have to do something I've never done before. And I went about doing it. I deleted all the saved video files, but I didn't empty the recycle bin. I was just like, just in case. I won't completely empty the recycle bin. In case I feel that my idea is just going to be ridiculously hard and I just can't do it. It's just not my style. So I ended up trying to do it, and then I'm like, oh crap, it can't be done. It's just not me. I can't do this. So, so I ended up deleting those files, and then you know what I did? I emptied the recycle bin, because I often do that. I often empty the recycle bin as soon as I delete something. Because when I want something deleted, I want it freaking deleted. Mainly because my computer is somewhat low on space. Like, I always keep like 30 gigabytes in my other hard drive, just so I have enough space for VODs and such. But so I ended up deleting them all, and ended up feeling really bad. I'm sorry, Z3. I meant to show them, but that was in the morning, and I was actually very slurry. No, actually, no, that's not what it was. I was just not so excited like I am right now. I am booming with a voice right now, and I am excited to do my very first one. A lot more than I was excited this morning. I guess the only reason I screwed up last time was because it was just a little bit boring, because I was like, I wasn't fully awake. But now that I am fully awake and the blood's rushing through my body, and I'm all like, oh yeah, it's time. It is time to get my teach on. Oh yeah, I am your sensei. I am your Sifu. I am your teacher. And any other word that's related to teacher in any other language. Let's begin. Thank you, Vruatsa, for participating in the lessons. I will do my best to not pick on you. Okay. Okay, that's kind of, there's no picking on here. There is just teachings and awesomeness. Hold on a moment. I mean, this is very unprofessional of me, but I have to do this. I did this in the Zeke 3 video too. I was like, what the heck's going on? Where are you versus Falconu? Commentary. And by the way, I almost want to say I'm a little bit intimidated doing this replay. You know why I'm a little bit intimidated? Because the replay file size was over a megabyte, and I'm just like, oh crap. How long is this match going to be? Maybe it's just battle-based beta, but my computer's loading really slow. Come on, load. I'm just adding commentary. Come on. There is nothing hard about this. Come on. Hold on. Hold on as Red Alert 3 pulls a brand new bug out of the bug machine. I wonder if that works. I clicked it after I pressed load. Damn it! Oh! I hope you guys laugh at this fail. Man, I can't believe I failed this. Oh my goodness, I am failing hardcore. Come on, add commentary, baby. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, back. I don't even know about this bug actually. I'm starting to faintly remember add commentary not working now though. I'm starting to faintly remember this. Come on. Come on. His replay loads with add commentary. See that? You see, it worked for his replay, but it didn't work for the other one. Come on, come on, Red Alert 3, help me out here. Help me out. I wanna use the drawing stuff because it makes me feel more awesome. You think maybe it has to do with the replay name? Let's try changing that. I'm gonna change it. Hold on, guys. Hold on as we see if this is actually a new bug that I have completely not noticed before. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm gonna lower the file length name of the file. Very intense song. Want this not to be so intense. Okay, see, changed it. It's a little bit shorter. Okay. Work, you dang thing. Okay, looks like it's not gonna work. Okay, after a delayed start, we can begin this megabyte long replay. We'll be going through the eyes of Vruatsa so I don't get distracted from the enemy. And it looks like the match is actually going to be a Empire mirror match. Am I right here? What is going on? No, it's Empire versus Allies on Battle-Based Beta. Interesting, interesting. So it looks like he'll be opening with a single dojo, not going to go for multiple dojos, meaning he's probably not going to prioritize the center too much. And I think the center is a very important part of this map. I think it's I wouldn't say it's necessarily a mistake or a tactical error by any means. Oh, look, he had a plan. He wasn't gonna take the middle. He actually decided he was gonna go for the refinery. So there was definitely a reason behind that. So see, exactly, it wasn't really a mistake because it was all part of his plan. He knew he was gonna go for 3 refineries, and that's exactly what he went for. Now it looks like he's prioritizing scouting, getting his Imperial warriors out. Okay, a single dojo start. It's very valuable on this map since actually it's kind of viable on any map as long as you build a couple Imperial warriors, but then again, the longer the distance, the better. So, so he did scout the 3rd refinery. Now, Vruatsa does know this now. He knows his opponent's scouting, and Vruatsa's doing a nice job. He is scouting, and he's on low power right now, but that's because he went for the 3 refinery. And looks like the generator is being placed. A little bit delayed with the placement. No big deal. No big deal. Okay, maybe it's a little bit of a deal because well, then again, he must have been looking at his scouting. He wants to make sure he's catching everything that's happening. But I think the most significant thing to catch is what your opponent's moving out with, what he's doing, exactly what his build order is. And clearly, his opponent's build order seems to be focused on an infantry, a map control start. Getting a little bit eager with these Imperial warriors. He's losing a little bit of cash. Oh, it looks like he did manage to take out 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. Oh, he's a hero. He's a freaking hero. Oh, and another. Oh my goodness, this one Imperial warrior just took out so much infantry. Oh, that guy deserves the hero rank. That guy is a hero. Oh my god, that is amazing. Look at the dojo barely surviving with just minimal health. Aren't I supposed to be giving lessons here? Okay. Let's get back to that. That was just awesome. That was absolutely awesome. See, this morning I was not like that. I was just like, oh, you should do this, and you should do this. Oh, this is a mistake. You should try to focus on this. I probably wouldn't even really acknowledge the awesomeness of that Imperial warrior kicking some serious peacekeeper butt. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Of course, so far, not too many major mistakes coming out of Vruatsa, except that he has quite a bit of money. And when you have that, when you're in a position where you have lots of money, you need to start building with what you have currently. And I guess that means with a dojo. However, you could also focus on a different kind of advantage as well. You could also think about going for the 4th refinery. But this is all tactical things, all strategical things that you can try out during your match. But right now, we're going to focus on major mistakes. Focus on mistakes that are going to be blatantly seen. So far, everything seems to be just fine. You're working well for what your plan is. You don't seem to be. I know everything's just going dandy and fine. However, I would think you should build a couple Tengus. On this map in particular, Tengus are a very effective unit against allies. However, I've been seeing a lot more activity from allied players, especially because of Yui. I guess some other players must have done this too, and that must have been what has started really getting this popular. But what happens is you start massing Tengus, and the allied player actually goes for a dual airfield build order and just starts massing Apollo fighters. So, I don't know. But I think Tengus are a very nice unit. They're very versatile, and they are very good at controlling the sky. And so far he's doing really well, taking out air units, not sacrificing too much, although he's losing thousands of credits. He's a little bit high on cash right now. He could build another refinery as he has his opponent on the run. Would be a nice idea to try to think that you should want to further your advantage. But he's forgetting to build right now. He is really forgetting to build. And it looks like he's actually going to go for a naval yard. But he has no idea what his opponent has. Why is he going for a naval yard? Now, I'm not sure if this is necessarily a mistake, unless he has an absolute plan. Unless he's thinking like, You need to think about the long term about when you do things. Look at that, he's building the naval yard, then scouting the water, just to realize, hey, my opponent doesn't even have anything in the water at all. So, however, this could be not that bad of an idea, as the allied players often send a Riptide or two to take out your water expansion. And this might actually be a decent idea after all, considering you'll be able to repair your collector and you'll be able to defend it with maybe a Yari sub. And you might even, well, I mean, if you're up to it, you can build some Sea Wings, but Cryocopter can shrink those. And, we'll see where it goes. We'll see what Vruatsa has in store for our allied victim today. That's not, who knows if he's going to be a victim. I think he told me he lost. I mean, often you post replays that you lose when you want to learn. But so far he has the nice advantage going on. He has a nice advantage. He needs to focus on making this his advantage. Now, his opponent went for 3 Apollo, and that's a very strange choice, considering Vruatsa decided to go for tier 2. And he's all prepared for Tengus, but where's the Tengus? There is no Tengus. There's just VX and infantry, and that is an awesome strategical choice from Vruatsa, and I compliment you for that. Good job, Vruatsa. Good job. It's really fooling your opponent. However, Tengus are gonna, if you do decide to go for Tengus, it's gonna take a while to achieve that. I think he could have got this refinery a lot more earlier than this. And he seems to have, like, you definitely want to focus on expanding while you have the advantage, while you're on the offense. Of course, you're on the offense right now, but at this point in time, definitely Vruatsa's got to be thinking what his opponent's plan is. What is his opponent up to? Is he going to be going for cryos? Is he going to be going for tanks? Tier 3? He's trying to keep a good eye, and I think he's doing a very good job at scouting right now. And nothing really too major bad going on right now. Seems to be making some good trades. So he has 4 refineries. You know, everything's going just fine for Vruatsa. Really good, very impressive actually. Very good flow with his gameplay right now.
No enemy is too big.
But now he's building Tengus. He just broke away from his plan. He broke away from his plan, decided to build Tengus.
No enemy is too big.
Now, it isn't too bad to go for Tengus, actually. I often feel that when you attack as Empire, you should go for Tengus against allies, because it's a great way to fool your opponent. It looks like he's building Sea Wings. Looks like the Sea Wings will be good at taking out those Apollo fighters. And what's he going to use the Sea Wing for, though? Looks like there's a whole bunch of Tengus coming in now, and so it looks like he did manage to take up that little bit of force there. But now he's mastering Tengus, and I don't understand why. I think the Tengus right now would be a mistake. I mean, he's trying to... He went from ignoring air control to all of a sudden saying, hey, you know what, I want to get the air now. I want to have some Tengus. I want to do that. That's what I want to do right now. And now that deteriorates his advantage of his VX ground force army. I mean, if he didn't focus on these Tengus, he would have, say, maybe put in a couple tsunami tanks and VX, and then not stop there, but continue massing more infantry rather than spending all this money on a focus of what you weren't originally planning. Now, amongst all that, he has this naval yard which he teched up to tier 2 for no particular reason either. There's no advantage by teching it up, and it might have just been a waste of time to build it. However, as I said, his collector does get repaired by this, and that's a nice advantage to have. And it only costs $1,000, so it's not too bad of an investment. So he has all these Tengus now, and I think the greatest part about having Tengus though is that when your opponent sends Vindicators to take out your ground armies, your Tengus can definitely pick up the mess. But he has so many VX and Tengu, there's no way air is going to dominate him. But his biggest issue here is that he has no meat to his army right now. His army is all just anti-air. Where's his opponent's air? Where's the threat? Why so much anti-air and anti-infantry when your opponent has no infantry? Well, maybe a little bit, as you can see here, but you don't really see that as you can barely look in that position right now. But your opponent doesn't really have mass air either. He has 3 Apollo, so you shouldn't be feeling threatened by the sky right now, as your opponent went 3 Apollos. You should be really thinking of your opponent's strengths right now. His strength is anti-air, but you have no air. Why give his strengths a purpose? Leave his strengths to be a weakness. So try to keep focused on what you're doing, and that'll be a great way to approach it. He lifted all VX choppers, and that was a very unnecessary move, as now all of them are in his strength zone, which is anti-air. And look at how his strength is really punishing this mistake here. I'm not sure how much of an accident that was. Maybe he only meant to lift one or two. But he lifted them all, which was a major mistake. Now the rest of his army is going to be threatened by what their weakness is tanks. Tanks are really good at taking out Tengus. In fact, the only units that Vruatsa seemed to have built in this position were the advantages of the allied player. What I mean is, he built units where the allied player had his greatest strengths. He's killed a couple collectors, which doesn't really balance things out considering he lost an entire army compared to his opponent's collector. His opponent's army is a little bit promoted. I imagine these useless Apollos finally got their use, and it looks like he's building tsunami tanks now that he has no anti-air. So Vruatsa, you need to keep focused on what your focuses are. You need to have a long-term plan. You need to know what you're going for, and you need to make sure you can power it up. If you would have built more tank busters and more Imperial Warriors, and some tsunami tanks, if you would have built these tsunami tanks instead of, if you would have built this instead of all those Tengus, what your position would be is no different than what you have right now. Your opponent has Apollos and everything else. In fact, you barely killed anything that was any significance. But you're still, the air threat of the allied player is very minimal. Is still very minimal. And now you just lost 2 units kind of uselessly. This is going to be one of those things that really backfire. When you had the advantage, you didn't exploit that advantage the best you could. I also want to say, I like how you got the observation post. That's very awesome. Because you get a nice good scouting often, like all the time. And you can even see up here. Normally you wouldn't even be able to see here, but you got the obs post. And that's really helping. Now you're desperately trying to find a way to power up your army. Looks like you used your shields on these Tengus because you're focusing on this harassment. It's going to prevent your opponent from being able to reinforce for a little while. But, I say that choice wasn't too bad, actually. It wasn't too bad at all, as you didn't lose all your Tengus there. You only had about 4, and you ended up killing 2 collectors. That was a nice trade. A nice trade indeed. But uh-oh, you're in a desperate situation and you have tons of money. You need to keep remembering to spend this money. All these little mistakes are slowly adding up to a loss. And it's upsetting, actually. it's because I think you can still pull out of this situation if you get enough tank busters and tanks. And it looks like instead of defending yourself, you're actually deciding you're just going to try to counterattack with this entire force of tank busters. And that's not too bad of an idea, actually. That's not too bad, because he doesn't have much units here. But you're not focusing on defending yourself. I mean, look at your opponent. Your opponent's across the entire map, and he's going to pull his entire force back to defend himself against these tank busters. And it looks like he quickly responds by building Peacekeeper and putting it into the turret. Now, you see how much of a mistake and how much this backfired. You're losing a whole bunch of units unnecessarily. Once again, that seems to be the normal trend going on right now. Now all that stuff kind of adds up. I mean, look at your army now. Your army is very minimal, very small. You've lost the refinery up in the northern area. I'm not entirely sure how you lost it. I guess it was from these babies here, the Athena cannon, shooting over the wall. Now you have all of these C-wings, but your opponent, you have these C-wings, but your opponent has no air. Yeah, I don't even know if your opponent even has an airfield, although you can't really see if he does or not. In fact, let's take a look. Does your opponent even have an airfield? No, he doesn't. There's no airfield, and you're continuing to build these C-wings. You have all these C-wings here, and they don't really have any use. Your opponent has kept to his strengths. He knew that his air wasn't going to be that big of a deal, so he sold the airfield. And your air, he just kept those Apollos in there, but he's kept to his advantage and kept putting it down, and you continue to feed his advantages when it was unnecessary. And you need to keep that in mind when you're playing. You need to make sure you stick to what you're doing and not just suddenly be like, oh, I want to all of a sudden gain air control. Because when you divide your focus like that, like look at all these Tengus. What are these Tengus going to do to those Mirage tanks and Athena cannons? They're not going to do nothing. Your opponent doesn't have an army of cryocopters. Your opponent doesn't have an army of Vindicators. In fact, he doesn't even have an airfield at all. but you have all these Tengus.
No enemy is too big.
So you've successfully got your air control. There's no way he's going to be able to take down these Tengus with air.
No
And now what are you going to do with that advantage? You need to think about what you're going to do with that. But of course the situation at hand is your opponent has a freaking army of tanks and stuff, and you don't.
No enemy is too big.
And I think the tsunami tanks, you should have been focusing on tsunami tanks more and more and more, and VX as well. In fact, you might want to think about a different kind of plan. You might want to think about, instead of focusing on his Mirage tanks and such, I'm going to try to take out all of his IFVs, all of his Javelin soldiers. That way, you can use VX to counterattack all of this, and that would be devastating. You need to be prepared for battle. You need to go into a battle with a battle plan. And in this position here, it looked like you got the crowd getting really punished you, and really gave you massive problems. But that's just the nature of fighting allies. But looks like the allies have definitely prevailed here, not by too much though. But I think those mistakes you made in the earlier parts of the games really added up. And instead of having a whole bunch of instead of having a bunch of tsunami tanks, you ended up with not much at all. But yes, remember to next time or anytime, remember to focus on keeping your advantages and making sure that you make sure your strengths are going to be as strong as you're going to have them. Because instead of having all those Tengus, you could have had a lot more tsunami tanks, you could have had a lot more tank busters, and that attack force that you sent through here and to attack his main could have been much more stronger. Could have been devastatingly strong. And what was he going to do? He didn't even have any air. He just had 3 Apollos and 1 Vindicator. He wasn't going to be able to do much to your army at all. And as we already know, 1 Vindicator can't even kill a tsunami tank. If you had mass tsunami tanks instead of those Tengus, you would have definitely had a huge major advantage there. And you wouldn't have had to worry so much about his strong tanks. So it looks like you got a tier 3 docks, and looks like a Shogun battleship.
I've seen it all.
And you even got your naval upgrade, the fortified fleet. Now that's committing to your advantages right there. That's what you need. That's what I want to see more of. That's what you need to do. That's good. That's good. That's good. Looks like you got the sea wings here now.
I've seen it all.
But yes, you definitely mixed up your battle too much, and that often, that really ended in a bad defeat. Because you were just kind of everywhere. You're like, I want navy, I want anti-air, I want the ground force. But you really focused on anti-air. But you didn't even stop to think about what your opponent was really doing here. Hold on a moment. What is your opponent going to do to stop this? I suppose if the longer the match goes on, the more chance that we're going to see a crowd get and blast all this. And that's just going to be upsetting. So,
Yari submerging.
So it looks like your opponent's base is all here. I'm starting to feel like, did he tell me he lost and then is actually gonna win just to surprise me? Because I'd be like, you're the man for doing that. I was like, you ended up winning this match? Oh my god, that's funny. This is actually a pretty darn good match for the end here. Oh my goodness.
I've seen it all.
Your opponent has no refineries at this point in time. You have no idea what you're really shooting at, except for the things that were once there. Uh-oh. There it is, the Athena cannon, the heroic Athena cannon, might I add. And oh my goodness, lots of anti-air. And oh no, the crowd getting got you while I wasn't looking, and probably while you weren't looking. Oh my goodness. Wow, that's a pain in this. That's a real pain right there when that happens. Oh my goodness. Let's take a look at what his opponent has. Here's Funkanu, and where's his base? His base is in the center of the map. That's a nice distance away from Shogun's. So, yeah, let's fast forward this, because it looks like the majority of the major decision making is gone. Wow, great job taking out the Athena cannon with the Shogun battleship. Quite spectacular how this even turned out to be the way it does. It's going to be very likely that we're going to see a Cryogeddon hit this area, and he's going to lose his Imperial Docks and Ore Refinery, and that's going to be the end of the game. Here it comes. I'm pretty sure this is coming soon. As he has Vindicators to take it all out. And here comes something. Another refinery. Interesting. And there it is, the Cryogeddon. Bam. And the Riptides to clean up the mess. Final squadrons to take out the airfield. Awesome, that's pretty cool. Alright. So, I think I explained what I really needed to explain. I hope you learned something from that. I did my best. That was a pretty entertaining match. That really sucks that you lost the Shoguns to the Cryogeddon. And ultimately, this was just an entertaining match. You know, this wasn't just a boring match either. You know, it was a decent match. You know, this would qualify as a lesson and a VOD definitely. So great job, Vruatsa. You did a very solid opening, but in the end, you ended up making some decisions that really left your armies at a disadvantage, and put yourself in a situation where your opponent was originally probably was feeling a bit scared, and then all of a sudden things went down the drain as you really started focusing too hard on anti-air while your opponent had no air to threaten you with. Now, of course, allied air is often a threat in general, and I imagine your biggest fear might have been cryocopters, and that is very reasonable. That is actually very, very reasonable, because a lot of allied players will actually go for mass cryo when they see, well, and by a lot of allied players, I just mean myself, but because when I see Empire Tier 2, I'm like, okay, that just means I can go cryos. Okay, thank you. I mean, considering your opponent had 3 Apollos and a Vindicator, that's often like the combination you see when like they plan on killing any Tengus and they want to use a cryocopter. In fact, I'm pretty sure that was the reason you even built Sea-Wings. I don't know, tell me if I'm right though, because that's what I'm thinking you were thinking, Vruatsa, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking you were scared of cryocopters, and you were definitely preparing for it, because you knew that cryocopters can really put a hole in your ground game's plan, and you wanted to make sure that if you did build cryocopters, you would be able to sweep them. But I suppose that is the result of bad scouting, and I guess that's what it is, Vruatsa. Rather than trying to predict your opponent, sometimes it's better to actually just to scout. And if you would have scouted, you would have seen, hey, no cryocopters. You know, I'm free to just keep massing my ground. So keep that in mind. I suppose that'll be the end of this. And sorry again, Zeke 3. I won't say that I'm eager to redo that commentary, replay, lesson, VOD. Not that the match was bad, but I just suppose I should go for it, especially while I'm in a good mood. I just don't like redoing things. It's just not my kind of thing. I mean, I don't like redoing things that are long. You know, it's like a game where you have checkpoints. You know games where you respawn, like you die and then you start back at a certain spot you got a checkpoint on. But there's some games where they have like certain spots where the checkpoint's actually really far away, like before a boss fight. You go through like half a level, then you fight the boss, and then when you lose, you have to start all the way from like that halfway point. Ugh, terrible. That's how I feel when I have to redo a VOD, because it takes a while. So Before this takes up a trillion gigabytes, I have to say goodbye, and I hope you enjoyed this, because I most certainly did. If you have any further questions, I'm pretty sure some of the strategy specialists, one in particular, because I think there only is one, Scarlet, I asked her to help you out if you need it. And of course, anyone else, any of you other experts people, fill in your information, go for it, and help me out here, because when I type things down, I make things sound really bad. Like, someone's just like, I don't know, I tried cryo rushing, and it was really easy. In fact, I don't think Empire can counter cryo rush at all. And I'd be like, yeah, you can counter cryo rush, just do this and do that and do this and do that, and I wouldn't really give proper information, and I would just end up being like, oh, just do that, it's easy, when it's actually not that easy. And anyways, goodbye for the third time, I guess. I think it might be the third time, might be the second, but yes, bye-byes. That's the third time.